And the household survey wasn't conducted in October, so we're going to get half the employment report. We'll get the jobs part, but we won't get the unemployment rate.
Okay, so let me get this straight. The man that fired an employee in charge of simply gathering the job numbers because they made him look bad is now just blatantly refusing to publish the unemployment numbers for October, blaming the shutdown, saying it was hard to get the numbers. Well, all this doesn't exactly exude confidence, does it?
The September jobs report has already been cooked, and we expect we might get that next week. It just hadn't been released. The October employment report for the payroll side will be able to be calculated, but the household survey wasn't completed. So we'll get sort of half a jobs report. Most everything else, I think, we'll be able to concoct the correct number after we look back. But we will never know what the unemployment rate was in October. People who were actually brought back in as essential employees a couple days early so that the furloughed employees could get their checks as soon as possible. And I was really pleased to see some of my furloughed employees show up today, and there's a lot of hugging and smiling. I think that the payments will come probably early next week. I think that's what maybe even before. There really has been an aggressive effort to get people to get their checks as soon as possible.
Trump administration has announced that the October unemployment report will be released, but without the unemployment rate. You know, the most essential number for understanding the health of the job market. According to economic advisor Kevin Hassett, he admitted, we'll get the jobs part, but we won't get the unemployment rate, going on to say, and we will never actually know what the unemployment rate was in October.
And the household survey wasn't conducted in October, so we're going to get half the employment report. We'll get the jobs part, but we won't get the unemployment rate, and that'll just be for 1 month. But yeah, it is true that we probably will maybe be able to concoct something, but we'll never actually know for sure what the unemployment rate was in October.
The president himself will do a little stumping across the country. Is that going to happen? And if so, what's his message and where does he go?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we've got a lot of great facts to get out to the American people. The bottom line is that when Joe Biden and the Democrats were running the country over the last 4 years, the typical American family lost $3,400 worth of their purchasing power. And already in President Trump's first few months of this year, then people have gained about $1,200 of it back. And so we understand that people still feel the pain from the deep hole that Biden's policies dug, but we're making up progress. We're making up progress fast. And you had a clip of Secretary Bessent, my good friend, a little bit later saying that we're going to close the gap and fill the hole that Biden dug relatively quickly. We see really high wage growth, and inflation is much more under control.
Bill, I think, we can show our viewers on the chart, really the heart of what Vice President Vance is talking about is this fact that you do have inflation. You can see on this chart here, inflation outpacing wage growth for lower and middle class income. What do you make of it?
Well, I think the vice president was right. I think somewhere in an interview he said the Democrats are right that it's a crisis of affordability.
But what this means in practice, we'll get a report with no anchor, no context, and no way to understand whether things are actually as good as Donald Trump likes to portray they are, or in reality, far worse. But here is the political reality, right? The timing isn't subtle at all. Recent polling shows that Trump is deeply underwater on the economy, with a majority of Americans saying they just don't trust his leadership on things like jobs, inflation, or cost of living.
Look, they're all in red. They're all in the negative territory. But on immigration, he's 5 points underwater. Foreign policy, 8 points. Trade and tariffs, he's 17 points. The economy, 18 points. But look at the Epstein case. He is 39 points below water on the Epstein case. His net approval is 39 points in the negative. My goodness gracious. What Donald Trump has been selling on the Epstein files, the Epstein case, the American people, simply put, have not been buying at all, Sarah Seidner.
The White House, they say that they are down and that the economy is booming. Everyday Americans are not quite feeling it.
Every time I go to the grocery store, I am shocked.
For 11 items, I paid $40.38. You heard that right.
The 1 pound of ground beef I got was $9. A pint of blueberries was $6.
When was a box of cereal $9.29?
I didn't realize how quickly they raised the rent prices, and I'm out here asking y'all to buy my album.
Cardi B there. So the president claims that Democrats have fooled the public into thinking that there's an affordability crisis.
It was a con job. It was a con job. Affordability, they call it, was a con job by the Democrats. The reason I don't want to talk about affordability is because everybody knows that it's far less expensive under Trump than it was under sleepy Joe Biden.
And as I mentioned, this isn't the first sign of interference. Months ago, Trump fired the senior official responsible for overseeing the federal jobs and labor statistics pipeline, with critics and even Trump-leaning anchors warning at the time that the move could undermine transparency.
Elaine Chao was on yesterday, and I know, she was, I think she was labor secretary for 8 years under Bush II, and she was your transportation secretary as well. And she said, the commissioner doesn't really even get involved with the actual minutia of putting all these things together. And there's no way that it could have been, that she could have chosen to rig these numbers to make them look bad. And these are statistical changes based on this antiquated system, and it's just a big leap to go to rigged. And then it also, Mr. President, it makes anyone you pick is going to be, critics are going to say, hey, he's picking a guy that's going to give him or a gal that's giving him the numbers that he wants. So it undermines confidence in the system to some extent. You had, according to many people, all the rights in the world to try to replace a commissioner when hasn't gotten any better. But that is maybe a bridge too far, according to most people.
And now, well, those fears look justified. When you remove the watchdog and then bury the numbers, it's pretty obvious that he's trying to hide the truth on the economy like they were the Epstein files.
Got him. We fucking got him.
But it's getting harder for him to do when even his safe haven of Fox News have been running segment after segment on the dire state of affairs as costs go up. And the best resolution that they have? Well, with the average age of homeowners rising to 40, let's offer 50-year mortgages so that more Americans can die with a solid amount of debt to leave behind.
Not yet. Okay. Quick question on this 50-year mortgage. Mm-hmm. I've heard, I just was watching a panel on the previous hour basically saying, they didn't think it was a great idea because it doesn't, you don't build equity and you pay more over a long period of time. Do you think this is a good plan? Is Kevin Hassett a supporter of a 50-year mortgage plan?
Right. The president mentioned it, and yes, I support the president's idea on this, that what it does is it reduces the monthly payment quite a bit. For a typical home for middle America, and it's by a few $100s a month. And we need to help people get back into homes. As you notice, the first-time home buyers are now like over 40 years old. And so we are focusing on that problem. And the bottom line is, though, that the problem really, again, came because interest rates under Biden inflation went up by 4%. And that about doubled the typical monthly mortgage payment. And we're really studying everything we can. We're about to have a bunch of White House meetings about what we can do.
But isn't the problem that there's not enough houses? There's not enough housing to purchase. So there's a limited supply. And that doesn't really address that.
Demand. You're right. We're addressing both supply and demand as we study this. There'll be more to announce soon. But housing has been one of the top policy things that we've been studying the last few weeks.
But the thing is, well, Trump likes to make everything subjective. The numbers don't lie.
Prices are up in the United States for coffee. It's up almost 20%. Utility up 11.7%. And then electricity is up 5.1%. And vehicle repair, if you need your car fixed, it's up 11.5%.
And we're looking at right now on our screen, I don't know if you can see it, just the increase in beef prices, for ground beef or steaks, et cetera. Everyone who goes to the grocery store knows that that's happening.
Which is why you saw the vote go the way it did in the recent elections. People are hurting. You can't lie or fake news your way out of that.
This, as a new poll finds, about 70% of Americans say groceries are more expensive now than they were a year ago. And about 60% of them are blaming President Trump.
So I've had just as many voters, Anna, say to me that they feel that this is a moment where they can register concern and frustration with the Trump administration. I will tell you also, as we've been out here all day, you've, of course, got Democratic canvassers, got Republican canvassers across from them. A lot of foot traffic here. I actually just got an update from one of the election officials inside who say that at around this time, just a year ago, so in a presidential general election year, they saw slightly less traffic than they're seeing today. This traffic greater than what it was in a presidential year here, sort of speaking to potentially some of the excitement that you're seeing in an area that is a Democratic stronghold. Larry knows this so well, and the kind of place that Spanberger and the rest of the Democratic ticket are going to have to drive up their turnout, drive up their vote if they want to continue to bear out what the polls have shown, which is that this really is maybe Spanberger's race to lose.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.